I think it's just about time that everyone starts moving out in today, and I think most of us will invariably get stuck in traffic at this time of the day and understand what we are doing. Just to give you a brief idea about my background, as you said, I'm a mechanical engineer and done my post-graduation in management from IIM Bangalore. After which I have moved multiple companies across India in multiple sectors, in mostly engineering and automotive component, with mostly 50 or more percentage export business, either direct or indirect to customers in India as their sourcing offices or whatever. Also a lot of time on the aerospace business, which is again a very special kind of a business that is there. Last 6 years I have been the CEO of Kinetic Engineering Limited. Apart from that responsibility, now I'm also as an executive director in Kinetic Communications Limited, which just happens to be the company next door. We share the same wall from here. So it's been just a walk across the compound for me today. Now, I'm going to share a little bit of what ideas that we have and what we mean by business excellence and why we need it. I would try to bring in why we need a good system for doing all these things. If you all know, the business has changed very, very drastically. Business environment has changed very drastically. We've seen unprecedented ups and downs, mostly downs probably in the last 15 years. Just about starting to see some good times now. The whole business environment has become highly customer-centric. Customers are the kings today, and nobody can take anybody for granted. You will just get thrown out if you are not in line with what the customer expects and what the customer experiences. One bad experience and you're screwed for the next few months or till the time you recover. Disruptive technologies and innovation is bringing about a drastic change in the way the business is conducted, especially on the automotive components. You're seeing electric vehicles coming in, you're seeing driverless vehicles coming in, you're seeing a lot of automation coming into a lot of electronics coming into the automotive business. AI coming into the whole gamut of things, which is changing the way the people work, the requirement of people, the understanding of the people. Everything is totally different. And I don't know, 5 years from now, probably half the people will not be doing what they are doing today. And most of them will be doing something totally innovative, completely different. That's a disruptive way of looking, and your business has to sustain that and has to survive that. Otherwise, you are just thrown out of the main way. Information at the speed of light is the thing today. Something happens, next moment it is available to the whole world. You have WhatsApp, all kind of social media, all good and bad things, pluses, minuses of all that, but it is available. So you need to be extremely careful on what you do and how you manage your business and all aspects of the business. You cannot neglect any particular aspect of the business. Business is global. Globalization started in India maybe late 90s or something like that, picked up speed. But today it is, anybody can do anything, anywhere in the world. Nobody stops it and nobody can restrict it. So if there's something good which is done in India, for example, for these people's software and the systems that they have, if it is good enough, it can just spread and expand like anything for any customer in Timbuktu also as well. But that's becoming so global that it becomes highly competitive to compete against. You don't know whom you are competing against from where, which part of the world. Similarly, speed of everything, of execution, of responses, of development, of deliveries, everything is becoming faster and faster and faster. Everybody expects everything yesterday. It used to be the thing of only the bosses will ask if everything I wanted yesterday. Today not, the customer is asking you everything yesterday. So that's the speed. there has been no compromises in quality. You just can't afford. That's the way business is today. It needs flexibility. Today sitting here, I can decide what kind of a vehicle I want, what specifications I want, what colors I want, and the whole factory can work on each piece by piece on a line to get the kind of a product that a customer expects as he has defined. To that level of flexibility one has gone. And if I am not responsible for, I am not able to respond to it as fast, I am probably left out. I will be left out. That's true. Cost is, I think, has been traditionally been the case, especially in automotive components. All of you probably come from an automotive background, so year-on-year reductions, improvements, and maintaining profitability is a challenge if you are not really the best of the best. Not continue to at least improve on whatever you have been doing in the past. Another factor which is getting added now over the last probably 5 or 7 years is geopolitics is playing a lot of role. Things happening somewhere, China and America starting to get into some kind of a tiff. Either it creates a lot of opportunities for us or a lot of problems for us. Likewise, somewhere some flash happens and then my whole supply chain is disrupted. If Suez Canal, something happens, I'm screwed. I don't know. I'll have to air freight all the material to wherever I'm dispatching. So that is becoming a little more challenging situation that we have. As a result, in any industry today, especially for automotive companies, competing companies have almost the same suppliers. They're structured more or less similarly. You will hardly find any differences. Receive their information from the same sources, use similar ways of delighting customers and offer similar products. So in such a situation, being just better than your competition is not good enough. You need to be really the best of the best to be sustaining and thriving in the market. Next. Traditionally, if you look at performance improvement, it's been mostly cost control or cost reductions. Typically, CFOs or business operations heads are responsible for cost control. Typically, focusing on workforce, purchasing, payment terms, employee perks. Traditionally, these are the way things are looking. I don't know how many of you are operations side, how many of you are finance side, but I think these are typically the first areas which everybody will attack. Second thing is, invariably the focus is almost entirely on the operations. But apart from the manufacturing operations, there are so many other things which contribute to the cost and efficiency or inefficiency of the other organizations, which make a big difference in the performance of the organization, which traditionally is not really looked at. What therefore it requires is a paradigm shift. It requires performance improvement, needs an organizational change, it needs a cultural change, and the way the organization thinks. There is no escaping this fact. You may think otherwise, but you will have to look at the way you do business today and respond to the business needs today. Next. In my view, there are basically 3 or 4 things which businesses run on. Typically, people, technology, and process are the 3 main drivers of any successful business. They have to be built on an operational efficiency, it has to be innovation, and customer satisfaction. This is the framework within which performance of a company will always get defined. So typically, every company will try to maximize one of the 3 parameters of process, technology, or people, and therefore achieve excellence in whatever they are trying to do. You look at any company, you may have some companies which have great people, great innovative people. They may fail in terms of delivery, or they may not be successful in terms of because they may be operationally inefficient. However, there could be companies which have a great product and operationally efficient. People may not be so good, but the systems are so good that you consistently and continuously deliver consistent performance on a day-to-day basis, year-on-year basis. That's how things have to be improved in terms of operational excellence. Yes. So how do you define operational excellence? It's an integrated management system which drives business productivity, We're applying proven practices and procedures in basically 3 foundations. Next, go back.
This page,
Okay. So there is capital effectiveness, there is asset productivity, and there is operations risk and change management. Each of these 3 things has definite processes, definite improvements, methodologies, business analytics, safety management, continuity management, consistency, change management, etc., etc., etc. All these things are covered typically for improvement of performance. Now, how do you, for doing all these things, you invariably have a lot of tools and techniques which are there. You have value stream mapping, we have 5S, we have TPM, we have TQM or lean, all types of jargon which is there, and everybody probably tries to use that. That is, all these tools are basically enablers. So with that, you also need behavioral changes in the organization to make it successful. So, next one. Why do we need operational excellence? We need to have strategic clarity about mission and objectives for the organizational expectation. Second is we need a culture of operational excellence. We need best business practices in the process architecture. We need the processes which are well defined, efficient, which can deliver what is expected from by the customer or any stakeholder, not just the customer. A well orchestrated improvement journey is required, and a superior organizational alignment and execution is required for achieving better performance. So, your tools, which are basically enablers, with cultural change requirements and organizational behavioral patterns requirement, these 2 together drive operational improvement and performance. That's what I strongly believe. Next. So, few things what I'm going to focus on, which is very critical in terms of operationally building up a culture of performance and improvement and doing it. First is clear vision. We need a clear vision of which you are trying to create an exception, and it is exceptionally well communicated. It needs to be communicated across the organization, right from the lowest workman in the helper in the plant, right up to the managing director and the chairman of the company have to be having the same vision and understanding and an alignment to deliver performance. That is, I think, a very, very critical aspect of improving performance and maintaining performance of the organization. Next. We need best people, no doubt about it. However, just having talented people is not good enough. We need people who work together as teams, and that is what is very important. You may have, we do find, you will notice in your own companies as well, a lot of people who are extremely good in what they are doing, but they may not be very good in working as a team together, and therefore the team as a whole may not be delivering the team's objective. But at an individual level, they may be delivering excellent performance out of their own skills and out of their own capability. But that is not necessarily good enough for the organization as a whole. And you need to be aware of this, and you need to be focusing on how to build up this kind of a thing. I don't mind working with a mediocre person as long as he's a good team player and he can be guided to deliver a better performance. And that's invariably, you will find such companies are far more successful than people who are best people, highly qualified, highly talented, highly individualistic people. They will not deliver the same kind of performance, which is very important. We need a performance-oriented culture in the organization. It needs flawless operational execution, needs continuous improvement, innovation, and refuses to tolerate mediocrity. Invariably chalta hai is, I think, unfortunately a part of a lot of companies in India, especially of Indians. If you go abroad and if you travel and interacted with several customers outside, invariably they will complain that Indians' attitude towards work and performance and delivery and consistency is chalta hai, kya hota hai, kya hoga. which is the biggest culprit in delivering performance. And that is what needs to be nipped in the bud wherever and in an organization you find such kind of things. You cannot tolerate something which is not okay. I make a mistake, fine, I will accept that I made a mistake, I goofed up. I will rectify it, I will ensure that I will prevent it in future and not repeat the same thing. That is better than saying, kya hota hai, chale. And that has to be, again, whatever I am saying is not restricted only to the operations, manufacturing or that aspect of the business. It applies to everything right from customer interaction, customer, the way a person speaks on the phone to the customer or the way a HR person talks to a potential employee. That also makes a difference and that also ensures that the company is good or not good and will deliver consistently or not deliver consistently. So that is what I mean by not refusing to tolerate any kind of mediocrity in the organization. Next. We need open communication. If you have to be successful, I need to be very open about what I am expecting, what I expect, whether you have understood it correctly, what you want to say, your opinions, my opinions, we may have differed in our opinions. But ultimately, whatever is the final objective, both of us have to agree on a common objective, agree on disagreeing if at all, or work together and achieve it. So that communication needs to be very, very clear, open, frank, honest. A lot of people, you will find people in teams where information gets hidden. Now, if I have a good information system which ensures that the right information is available to the right people to take the right decisions, either as individuals or as teams, they are far better than having individually somebody keeping some silo somewhere and trying to mix and match and arrive at some proper decision. So we need good communication which helps deliver good performance. There has to be a sense of urgency in everything that you do. Strong desire to get important things done well while not wasting time on the trivial things. It's basically prioritizing what is important, what is urgent, important, not urgent, that kind of matrix, which is very, very clear. Next. Extreme customer focus. Owning the voice of the customer and delivering what the customer considers truly valuable. Everything has to add value to the customer. Right from a phone call or cold call made by a customer or by an employee of the sales team to a final product which is post-warranty being serviced in the field by the company for a customer who may be 10 years old. It makes a difference to us. And yes, automotive companies at times have this issue of, I have a 7-year life of a program and after that I am committed to maintaining spares for the next, say, X number of years, after which I will raise my hands. Was your vehicle is too old to support, you have to change. If I go one step further and be able to deliver that satisfaction to the customer, he gets bound to me lifelong. So we need to be very, very customer focused, and in the whole process we need to be very concerned about not just the operations. I'm again and again repeating because operations has been the focus for the last so many years in terms of improvement. Yes, because it controls a big chunk of the total cost. Yes, but that is maybe only the direct costs. There may be a lot of indirect costs which are there sitting in the system which we do not even know. But customer ultimately faces that and figures it out over a period of time. And that is what we need to avoid. Next. Now, how do I do it? All this talk is fine. There is a lot of cultural change required, this required, that required, is fine. Ultimately, I can't improve if I don't know what I am supposed to do. So, unless what can be measured can't be improved. Very clearly. What can be precisely defined by a process can't be measured. If it's a vague process of multiple things like going around together and therefore I say this is my process, I can't measure it precisely. If I can't measure it, I don't know whether I am doing the right thing or not doing the right thing. we need to define the entire value chain and map it properly, right? Right from the customer acquisition to product development to product delivery, the entire experience of interaction with the organization by all the stakeholders, not just customers. We need our suppliers also to interact with our systems and our company in a way that is aligned with my focus and my expectation. I want our potential employees to work with this thing. All our financial institutions also have to support, should understand what I need and why I need that to be able to help me to deliver better performance. So apart from the traditional way of looking at things, we also need to look at other aspects of the overall aspects of our business to improve performance and measure performance and therefore improve performance. So the entire, ideally if a system can map each and every of these stages and each and every process in the system, then I know precisely where I can be going wrong, what is happening in that, what needs to be done, and how needs to be improved. With the help of the tools that are available for doing all kinds of things on that. Next. So, the last point in this was definite. I mean, in God we trust. For everything else, I need data. Without data, talking anything is hunch. Okay, yes, I will take you at face value, but still, to take a proper decision, I would ask you for data, supporting and justifying whatever you are saying or whatever I am saying. That is very much required. Next. Now, typically, what are the issues that we face? All companies have legacy issues. Especially if companies have been growing and rapidly growing, you have lots of issues. What was good for me when I was a 10 crore company is no longer good enough for me when I am a 50 crore company. No longer good when I am a 200 crore company. Not at all good when I am a 1000 crore company. So, and there will be systems and practices and processes and which are all working when I was 10 crore company and also when I am a 500 crore company, which may or may not be the most efficient ways of doing things. So there are legacy issues. We must accept that yes, there are legacy issues which we have to overcome. Each function in the organization as a result or otherwise have different requirements. Every person has his own whims and fancies of how I want the same data say being presented with this column here, this row here, and multiple ways in which the same data may be required and presented and analyzed and dissected and everything. So probably it invariably leads to data duplication. Issues related to mismatches, real time versus offline, multiple persons involved in maintaining the same data, updating the same data, reconciliation, and finally spreadsheets. In my opinion, if you are using spreadsheets, I'm sure 90% of you spend probably more than 70% of your time in working with some kind of a spreadsheet in a day. Which I think, if I have to work on a spreadsheet, means somewhere some data is not properly being processed and presented the way I would like it to make a proper decision. So that is something which I consider as, yes, it is a necessary evil, but the more you have, I think it is a underlying problem which we need to look at and analyze and take actions further on that. So what is the need of the hour? I need a system which captures the entire value chain, as I mentioned. I need a scalable and a flexible system. I should be able to, if I have defined a particular process and or a system processing data, it should be scalable. Today, for a small operation, it may be there, but the same I should be able to scale it up for a much larger operation, or either in terms of transactions and or in terms of complexity of the transaction. It should enable decisions. Typically, you will always have, most of the systems will definitely take very good and efficiently handle transactional processing. Most of the systems, I mean, without doubt, I think there are multiple people who have multiple ERPs which are very good for their respective applications because they are typically processing some kind of a transaction. But today, the businesses have moved, technology has moved, and you will have junior management people who are typically working on transactional data, updating some transactions which has happened, not happened. Quite a lot of it is probably automated today because of scanning, barcoding, industry 4 and all kinds of data technology which is available. You can automatically pick up data from whichever activity which is going on the shop floor or outside. Lot of data, a lot of systems sit on this data probably independently to analyze using artificial intelligence tools or any other analytics and other kinds of information which sits on this data. It should typically help the tactical management, middle management in the medium. What is happening? What is the trend? Where am I likely to be in 6 months from now? For this financial year, where am I going to be? So the day-to-day management, one is transactions. Clearly, I need to have that basic data to ensure that my whatever is for the day is 100% achieved across everywhere. Next is I have to look at it a little bit of a longer term. This thing, what is happening today, what is likely to happen or not happen, maybe 1 month from now, 3 months from now, 6 months from now. B, how I refers to my overall target and the direction that I have, that is important. But finally, the whole system should also help leadership for long-term decision making. What are the mega trends? What's happening in the market? What's happening with my competitors' market? What's happening with different products? What's happening with the different technology? What are the impacts? Some of it may not be possible and relevant as a system for an organization, but if using my data and publicly available information from across things, if I can work out and figure out what's happening in the world, probably that's a great way of being ahead of my competition. So this is something which I believe an organization which will have these kind of things properly based along with the tools and techniques which are there, which I think will be the best way of working for any organization and should help us in the VUCA world. You know, everywhere it is today, there is highly volatile, highly uncertain, complex and ambiguous world. So it should help me navigate that, because if I am able to work efficiently in this world, I will be successful, and for which I need good systems and practices which help me do all these things in a proper way so that it can achieve the organizational objectives and help me thrive and grow in the business environment. So, just to conclude, to survive and thrive, being better than your toughest competitor is no longer good enough. You need proper information systems to help navigate the VUCA world. That's a quick summary about what I think we should be doing and targeting and what we should be looking forward to in the going forward in the world. Thank you very much.